3 emperors, and I've loved, in even more various ways, 3 blue-eyed women. I'm Vercingetorix the Red, and this is their story. AD 118, summer. As I came striding out of the imperial palace at dawn, I had 3 causes to be furious and 1 to be sick and scared. I hated admitting I was scared, so I focused on the rage instead, and all the reasons for it. For one thing, I was wearing the full ridiculous parade armor of my rank as tribune in the Praetorian Guard, from the absurd plumed helmet to the ridiculous muscled cuirass, and I hated that armor with every drop of blood in me. Give me a plain legionary breastplate any day. For a second reason, the day was already sweltering hot, although the sun had barely risen over the rooftops, and sweat collected where the battered lion skin lapped my neck. The lion skin I'd won when I was promoted for courageous action in Dacia a long time ago. A lion skin I wasn't supposed to wear as a Praetorian, but wore anyway because it meant I was more than a pretty palace guard. The third reason I was furious, because on this summer day, I'd have to watch my greatest enemy march through the eternal city's gates for the first time as Emperor of Rome. As for why I felt cold and scared, well, I refused to think about that. I came out into the full glare of sunlight and stopped. My guardsmen were lined up in immaculate red and gold rows. Praetorians were good at looking immaculate, and below was the bustle of the imperial court, chamberlains trying to organize us all for the emperor's arrival. One of them leached onto my elbow, droning, but I didn't hear a word because I was looking down the marble steps at a woman in imperial purple who stared past me as though I were not there. I immediately added her to the list of reasons why this was a black day. Empress Vix Sabina had spent the last year ignoring me, and I didn't like being ignored. "Lady," I greeted her. "Tribune?" she returned coolly. I felt my jaw jut. People assumed the Empress and I didn't like each other, and that was a reasonable assumption. I didn't get along at all with the old Empress, a rancid imperial bitch who couldn't lay eyes on me without sniffing like she smelled a drain. But Empress Sabina was a different matter. I'd known her since she was a senator's barefoot daughter, and I'd been a lanky young guard in her father's pay. We'd been friends. We'd been enemies. We'd been too many things to count. Now we were an empress and a guard. And if it was my job to keep her alive, I'd be damned if I'd be looked through like I was a window. Sabina extended a hand to the chamberlain for assistance into her curtained litter. Maybe it was petty, but I brushed the man aside and offered my hand instead, not letting her dismiss me like a slave. Her fingers were narrow and smooth in my big rough paw, and her blue eyes flicked over me once as she settled among the cushions. A supple, sinuous woman, maybe a year younger than my 35, a little 3-cornered face like a shield, a draped stola of imperial purple, and wide, beaten silver cuffs adorning her wrists and ankles. She looked regal and shackled, and I saw she had her statue face on. When she wore that face, you'd never in 1,000 years know what she was thinking. Empress Sabina had imperial purple in her veins as well as on her back. Oceans of patrician cool self-possession all the way down to the deep and hidden center of her. But maybe it was a good thing. Of the 2 of us, Sabina would at least have the self-control to look the Emperor of Rome in the eye and lie like a Greek. I wasn't sure I had the self-control to keep myself from hitting the bastard the moment I saw his smug, bearded face. We were to greet him at the gates of the city, and the moment was almost here. The air,